Hi, and welcome to Grumpy Old Men. Have you had your coffee?
I am having my coffee in the gerund.
Coffee.
Coffee.
It's sort of,
Cup of
say it with a
coffee.
Boston accent, coffee.
A Boston accent?
Boston accent.
Park the car in Harvard Yard with a cup of coffee. Coffee.
I don't know.
That's Jewish, I think.
Well, a lot of Jews in
See,
Boston.
there you go. So this is Steve Rosse, and
Hey.
I'm Tim Newton. Steve Rosse is curiously spelt with an extra E.
Yeah.
Which
Go
explains
figure.
something.
Yeah.
I have to apologise, not to you, but to the internet world, because yesterday I did a program. It said, oh, now don't forget the TDAC, the Thailand.
Digital arrival card.
Oh, well done. Something you'll never have to fill out
God
ever in
willing,
your life.
knock on wood. Yeah, God willing, I
Don't
ain't
touch
going,
the table.
Ain't going nowhere.
So I said it's tdac.immigration. I said co.th. It's not, it's GO, which is short for government, I suppose, .th. But I did correct myself. There, I've put it down there. There it is. So that's the correct website. So all these people are going to arrive and said, without all the documentation, I'd say, I filled it out. I was watching Tim Newton and he said, and the immigration department are going to put you in jail and you will never see the light of day again.
Tisk, tisk.
Also, just to follow up to last week, I found out what that tower is that they're building.
Oh, okay, good.
Next to the Orbiter,
The Orbiter. Yeah.
like the local council.
Yeah.
What is it?
It's not the tsunami warning tower?
It's the tsunami warning tower.
Yeah.
I
Take that, Phuket.
I said to them, what is this? Qu'est-ce que c'est? I didn't say it in French because that would have confused them even more. But they sort of looked at me and I went, tsunami? And they went, yes. So that's the tsunami alert tower that they've taken from Phuket.
Yeah.
So we're going to be saved and the people in Phuket are going to drown.
Phuket, that's had at least one devastating tsunami. We've never had a tsunami here, never will have a tsunami here, but we have a warning tower. So,
Have we spoken to anybody to get a definitive explanation of what happened on December the 26th, 2004
Here, you mean?
Yeah, like,
Well, I've spoken to Tian, our next door neighbor here. We should say where we are.
have you spoken to anybody?
Oh, who you can trust?
Oh,
Ooh,
I wasn't going to say
wow.
that.
I don't know. I don't know if I have. Yeah.
But I hear that it didn't even sort of come onto the
No,
grass.
no.
So, well,
I mean, everything here, you can look. There's no water damage to anything here. Never. And, if there had been damage, they couldn't have repaired it. Right? Because you can't
build anything. Well, they would have made.
I guess they could have done some repairs, but no, there's no evidence of anything here. And the geologic record, where did I get this? I must have looked this up online because the phrase the geologic record supports no tsunami in history, that wouldn't have come from Tian at the cannabis shop. So I don't remember where I got that. I would have read that online somewhere.
So if there had been some sort of destruction, then all the crappy buildings along the foreshore would
they'd be gone.
They would have
Yeah.
been gone and rebuilt, you would have thought. So there was some
we're
silly
pretty
foreigner
safe.
that came and renovated them.
Yeah, that guy.
Including this one.
He didn't last long. Including this one. You should, pimp it out. Tell us where we are.
This is called Boho Beach House.
Really?
Because I thought it was a pretty cool name.
Yeah, you did.
Nobody else does, but I did. And this was just an old rental that was rented out to two interesting ladies who were your neighbours for a long time.
Yeah, those poor people, and they're gone. They have just left. They got evicted from this space, and they were living in a tent up the street because they have no money, nowhere to go. Apparently, no family, no friends. They are Jehovah's Witnesses. They're Thai ladies, but they are Jehovah's Witnesses, so they weren't going to go to the temple to ask for help. Mm-hmm. And they lived behind one of the derelict buildings up here in a tent. I don't know where they got food.
So right next to an old derelict toilet.
I would guess, yeah. And they're about a block from the public toilet they could have used.
Sure.
But where they were showering, I have no idea. But the two of them, a mother and a daughter, and they were sharing a tent for what? It's been a couple months anyway.
Or a good couple of months.
And they were just sharing because they had nowhere to go and no money to put gas in their car. They had a brand new car with Bangkok plates. They were on the run from something, hiding from something. And,
aren't we all?
Now they're gone. They've evaporated in the middle of the night. So I wish them all the best of luck. I lived next door to them for 3 years.
That's right.
Never learned their names. I mean, we shared a common wall. We saw each other. Well, they never left the house, but we'd see each other about once a week when they took their trash out. But no, just one of those mysterious things that happens in Thailand, and you're never going to know. We'll never know what their story was.
Oh, how was Penang? Oh, I'm glad you asked.
Hey, Tim,
Yeah?
how was your trip to Penang or Penang?
I'm glad that you got some interest in it because it was actually a little bit eventful.
Ooh.
I went to get a visa, but for whatever reason, the paperwork just didn't arrive in time. And anyway, I had a couple of days in Penang. I have to go back on May the 19th. The day after Eurovision, our big Eurovision night.
No.
Yes.
Oh, well, you can't celebrate too hard then at Eurovision.
Yeah, like I'd be celebrating too loud. I know you've got plenty to talk about, but one thing that interests me about being a sort of a bit of a businessman in Thailand. Now, it is, it's not easy to run a business in Thailand as a foreigner, legally, and then you sort of always sort of a little bit treated like a foreigner. In some cases that might work well for you, but in other ways it doesn't. But one thing I always notice, and I noticed this in Penang, so I suppose I'm talking about Malaysia here, and I run some Airbnb places.
Do you?
So I thought, I'll support the brand, I'll rent from an Airbnb.
Sure.
And so I was staying there, and there's a bed, and there's a desk, and there's a bathroom with a towel in there, and there's one painting on the wall in this really large space. And I was thinking, they haven't even tried.
No.
All you need is just a little bit of decoration, or watch, I don't know, any one of thousands of makeover shows on the internet, but put a plant in the corner, put some books, put a shelf on the wall, I don't know, do something. And I thought they're just leaving money on the table, because the space is the space. You decorate that space, suddenly the pictures pop on the profile, suddenly you're going to get more bookings, and then people are going to pay more just because it looks cool and they want to stay there in that space.
Yeah. Well, that's why you're going to be successful, and perhaps they won't. Can I tell you a story about an overnight stay? I used to work for a member of the nobility, a Mom Luang, which is the grandchild of a king. And he owned a hotel called the Boathouse on Phuket where I worked.
Oh, yes.
And he was making 10 cup, come on, my benai.
You can come in.
Kun Game is shy
No
to
problem.
walk through the room. All of this around us is the result of Kun Game's hard work. He will walk behind me in 3, 2, 1. There he goes.
Thank you, Kun Game.
Bravo. So
Crouching down didn't sort of keep you out of the picture at all, but
no.
Thanks for
that
trying.
was the crouching tiger, hidden dragon.
Yes.
At any
Boathouse,
rate,
Boathouse.
The Boathouse. So I was the PR manager at the Boathouse, and the Mom Luang I worked for, I might as well say his name, Mom Luang Tritosyu Tewa Kun, who I think is still alive. He was sort of dabbling in politics and kind of looking at a parliament seat or something, and so he asked me to go to Bangkok and do some PR for him. So I said okay, and he booked me a ticket, and he said, I want you to go to Tritos City Marina, which is this big development on the river that he owns. And he said, they'll put you up for a couple nights there, and you can do X and Y, you can do this PR stuff. So I said, okay. So I go up there, I fly up there, and I get there, about an hour after dinner time, I guess. It's maybe 7 o'clock, it's dark. And this gorgeous Thai woman meets me in the lobby. Oh, Kun Steve, nice to see you. She takes me upstairs. She opens the door to a unit in this big condo. It's 3 buildings right on the river.
Right.
And she opens the door and she bows me in, and she says, have a good night. She shuts the door and I turn on the light. It's a bare unit. There's no furniture. There's no phone. This is 1993. There's no cell phones.
Back in black and white days.
There's no phones. I can't call anyone and say, there's not even toilet paper in the bathroom. Talk about a towel. There's nothing. It was literally bare wooden floors. No drapes, no carpets, no bed, no desk.
There's no bed.
No. And I thought, okay, I've been in Thailand long enough to realize the office staff in Bangkok, they don't want me there. They've got someone whose job is PR, and I'm breaking his rice bowl, whoever that is, and it's probably a relative of the Mumluan, so I'm not going to make a stink. I go back down to the lobby, and it's dark, right? There's no lights, there's no lamps, you flip the switches, nothing happens, it's pitch black. So I go down to the lobby's empty, she's gone home, like it's 8 o'clock by now. So I walk up the street and there's some kind of chain hotel, a Hilton or something. I check into the Hilton, stayed there 2 nights, put those 2 nights on my credit card, went back to Phuket. He never said a word to me. He never said to me, I gave you a room. Why did you go down the street? Well, sir, because your staff put me in an empty, no, nothing. It was never mentioned. Nobody ever said a word about it, ever. And one of those events where you just have to go with the flow. It's Thailand, and somebody's sending you a message, and you can either swim upstream or you can get the message and go stay down the street at a hotel. Anyway.
Yeah, my sort of general philosophy about living and just coping in Thailand is looking at Thailand as a sort of a constant river, and you're flowing down the river, and sometimes you'll come to a rock. Mm-hmm. And you can either go through the rock, you can go over the rock, or you can just decide to go around the rock and continue.
Let the current push you where it's going to push you.
Yeah, it's the best way. It really is.
Yeah, going through the rock is rarely an option.
It just does not work.
You're just going to hurt your head.
That's right.
So, yeah, just go with the flow, literally. Just, say, kaboom, smile, always smile, always smile. Don't break anybody's face, and just go around the rock.
Go around the rock. Then the second thing on that sort of business story, is I went to, we call them nurseries in Australia, the garden centre.
Right. You buy baby plants.
And then there were, because I probably bought 200,000 baht in plants. I've got 5 gardens to look after now, 4 gardens. Yeah. And they're all massively better than they used to be. But again, when people come, they want to sit outside. They want to sort of go, oh, nice garden. They don't want to go, oh, God, he hasn't done anything out here. But you have to put some work in.
Yeah.
So I went up to the local, we call it a nursery, you might call it a garden centre. And the plants are all sort of all over the place, and some of them have been watered, some of them haven't. There's no sign. And the people who own the place, of course, they're in the house at the back, and they're never at the front sort of waiting, how can I help you? You always have to go down to the house and go, hey, is anybody here?
Hello.
And, I kind of spend money there, and you think to yourself, they're just not even trying.
No.
And that they could have doubled, tripled, have a Facebook page, a plant of the day. This is in season. Wow, look at this lovely flower.
Hang a sign in front of your store that says it's a garden center.
Sure.
Or a nursery. Yeah, I know there are taxes paid on signage here, so maybe the reason people don't want to put a sign in front of their business is they have to pay tax.
Really?
Yeah. And
I've never heard
I
about
learned
that.
this because I was told when I worked on the radio that if you have an ad that's just in English, you pay more for that. You pay the government a tax for that than if you add a line of Thai.
Somebody's taking a lend of you, Steve.
Might have been, but I learned a fair amount of Thai.
Well,
you will feel very much at home.
You were shown to the empty condo, so
maybe
we'll just leave it there.
Maybe.
And I would have had a little coffee station. Oh, would you like a coffee? There was a nursery garden centre back where I used to live in Mount Eliza, which is about an hour south of Melbourne. A nice little sort of dormitory suburb. Where I spent most of my youth going to school there. But they had a garden centre which was like IKEA. You'd go there and spend the day.
Yeah.
And you'd sit in the coffee place and eat cake, and the kids would go to the play area, and you might buy a plant or you may not. but it was just a whole thing, a whole experience.
A shopping experience.
Yeah. I just think there are so many Thais that, for whatever reason, they just leave money on the table. They don't seem to want or need or try. They just don't try. What do you have to say about it? I'm interested to hear.
Yeah, he is. I'm not. We've spoken before about the ethic of good enough. That there is a feeling that you reach a point in a task that's good enough. And whether or not the guy who's paying you to do this task thinks you should complete the task or whatever, typically there'll come a point where people go, oh, that's good enough, pak on, let's sit down.
And look, there's no sort of a business education. I don't think kids are even taught at school about the basics of putting together a business or a business plan. Anyway, I'd be interested to hear what you have to say about that. Your interface with different businesses in Thailand, but there is sometimes a sense that they...
Keep talking, I'm listening.
That's the big special display pillow.
Yeah.
With Steve's butt on it.
My big display butt.
Thank you, Steve.
Oh, that's better.
You're feeling better now?
Look at me, I'm as tall as you are now. Awesome. Okay, we have to start over. Yeah. How was Penang, Tim?
Penang. It was good. Anyway, I have to go back, so I'll tell you more about that.
Right.
But I'll stay in another Airbnb this time, and I'll sit there going, if this was my place, I'd do this,
Paint it black.
that, and maybe they'll give me 20,000 baht to do a quick
consultant.
No, I'd go out and buy a few fake plants and a couple of nice light fittings. You don't have to do that much.
No.
Anyway, here we are, and we're now going to spend the rest of the show doing what Steve got wrong last week, which tends to sort of fill the programs.
Okay, but before we do, I have promised to introduce you guys to one of my favorite books about Thailand in each of these episodes. Now, all of my Thai books are now in these 6 Airbnb units. I don't keep them in the house anymore because better somebody else reads them than me just storing them in the house.
Should I just mention that if you would like to buy one of Steve's books, they're on Amazon.
Yeah.
And all you need to do is type in Steve Rosse.
With an E, yes.
With an E.
On
and
Amazon.
You'll be able to buy one on Amazon.
Yeah, I have 5 books for sale on Amazon, all about Thailand.
Do they come from China? Because they used to be $10, now they're $13,000.
4 of them are for Kindle only.
Oh.
So they don't come from, I think, anywhere. They they download on your Kindle.
How lazy.
And the 5th one is printed on paper in Bangkok. Or I think Amazon has print centers, like if you order it from Tokyo, it's printed in Tokyo. If you order it from London, it's printed in London. That one, the most recent one. But at any rate, so since we're doing this in one of Tim's units, and since some of my books are here, this is not necessarily my favorite book in the world, but it's a good book about Thailand, and it's here in the house. It is called Comrade Aeon's Field Guide to Bangkok by Emma Larkin, a journalist who writes her fiction under the name Emma Larkin.
A guy?
A what?
Is it a guy?
No, I think it's a woman. I've heard that Emma Larkin is a woman.
I always thought that Lewis Carroll was a woman. I don't know why.
Though Lewis Carroll had a lot of kinks. Lewis Carroll, might have been a bit of a pedophile.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Though he died a virgin and was probably celibate his whole life, he had a real fascination for tween female human beings. But parents at the time used to send their daughters out to the country for the summer to stay with him so that he could teach them poetry and stuff. But at any rate, if they were okay with it, why shouldn't I be okay with it? Anyway, Comrade Aeon's Field Guide to Bangkok, a very dense book, very well written book. It's not a perfect book. It's got some flaws like pace. It's very slow. And it delves into 1,000 different sidelines that don't have anything to do with the plot. And the plot has no real resolution. There's really no ending to this story. But This woman, whatever her name is, has a very in-depth knowledge of Thailand, particularly Bangkok. I don't know what she knows about anywhere else, but this is a really good look at Bangkok at street level from a Phang, which is rare as hen's teeth. Finding a Phang who hasn't just spent his 20 years in Thailand on Soy Cowboy, and who actually speaks Thai, watches Thai TV, reads Thai periodicals, which this woman apparently obviously does.
I reckon I've been to Soy Cowboy more than you or any of our audience.
Okay, why?
Well, I used to have to walk through there every day to get to work.
Yes.
So
well, certainly more than me.
You should see it 8 o'clock in the morning. It's not a pretty sight.
I wrote a book set on Soy Cowboy called Bangkok Buckaroo, which is a comic novel, a Western novel set on Soy Cowboy. The hero is the sheriff of Soy Cowboy. And I wrote it in America, not having been to Soy Cowboy for 25 years. And you read that and you can see the image of Soy Cowboy Steve carried in his head for 25 years, and it probably has very little relation to the real Soy Cowboy, but that was the kind of romantic image in my head for 25 years.
Can I tell you what the South China Morning Post said about it? An intricate portrait of contemporary Bangkok that is at once dystopian and magnificent.
Yeah, I'd go along with that. Her scene setting is pretty marvelous. She gets very, very deep into her characters. I love character development, but I think she gets needlessly deep in some of these characters. And none of their stories has a real resolution, but it's worth reading. And if you're interested in books at all about Thailand, Comrade Aon's Field Guide to Bangkok is a nice read.
Well done. Yes, there's a link in the description of the video today if you'd like to buy one of Steve's books, either real or the imagined ones that are just...
They're real, you just need a
pretend.
machine to read them. You can't just read them like a book.
What if they send you a PDF or something?
No, it loads onto your Kindle.
What if you don't have a Kindle?
Then you shouldn't.
Who has a Kindle?
You shouldn't be buying a book for Kindle. Well, an e-reader. There are other brands of Kindles, but lots of people are reading online. I suppose you could try to read it on your phone, though that seems really difficult to me.
Yes,
You'd be looking at a little window like this.
No, not on.
Before I go on, I'd like to thank, while I'm thinking of it,
and on.
A guy named Sam came to visit today, a viewer, a fan of the show, and he came with his father and some other friends, and they bought me a very nice lunch and for very good company for a couple hours.
Thanks for the invite.
Sorry, dude. I want to thank Sam and his father and his friends who came to Turtle Beach today. Thank you very much, Sam.
Do they watch Grumpy Old Men?
As far as I know, yeah, he knew your name.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry, dude.
Okay.
If I had known, I thought he was just coming by himself. If I'd have known he was bringing a bunch of people, it was going to be a big group, I would have let you know.
Yeah, sure. Good.
All right, Steve got it wrong.
Oh, yes.
You ready? I think a lot of people probably just fast forward to this point. That's it. When Steve stops talking about what he screwed up, they stop listening.
Or they watch simply so they can find something that you say wrong. And they're sitting there with
just waiting to comment.
Siri going, yeah.
Yeah, somebody who signs his name The Phang, which I think a lot of my trolls have 4 or 5 different handles, because I'll block one and the same guy.
Yes.
You can tell from the
yes.
writing style it's the same guy. So I think this guy might be Tom Lloyd. You know, there are a lot of people, a lot of haters who want to try to parse my psyche. They want to try to say, oh, you're a narcissist, Steve, you have anger management issues, whatever, blah, blah, blah. This is all shit I've been saying in my books for 30 years. So you can't just repeat what I've said and then pat yourself on the back and think you're clever, the Phang. But at any rate, yeah, he was taking shots at me today. But here's some shit that I really got wrong. The word Yankee, meaning an American, does, in fact, apparently, according to credible sources on the web, come from the Dutch Janke, which means Little John. And
Did we do this last week?
No, last week I was still defending myself,
Ah.
thinking it's Spanish. It's a Spanish word.
Let it
Which
go,
a Spanish dictionary will tell you, yes, it's a Spanish word. But several people wrote in and pointed me to credible sources. Yeah, it's Dutch. Yankee is Dutch. So there you go. Damn Yankees. At any rate. Oh, this one's embarrassing. This one's embarrassing. I have to go back to the University of Iowa and ask them to give my mother's money back for my theater degree. Polonius was the father, Laertes was the son. In the speech, to thine own self be true.
Oh.
I named the characters incorrectly. I've done 2 productions of Hamlet. I've stood backstage for every rehearsal and every performance, 2 different productions of Hamlet, and I still got that wrong because certain lifestyle choices have left my memory porous. So thank you for everybody who pointed out that Polonius is the father, Laertes is the son in the to thine own self be true speech.
Right.
Oh!
Tim got it wrong?
Rather I stopped? You seem highly critical today. I said, now we were talking about something you talked about on your live show on Saturday, which is that,
Oh, I'm not going to come back to Thailand because I smell ganja everywhere.
yeah, you smell ganja everywhere. The sewers, the open sewers, that doesn't bother you, says Steve. The stray dogs with pussy sores in the restaurant begging for food at your table, that doesn't bother you. But a whiff of ganja in the air, that bothers you. Well, what we said last week was, I said, the sight of an old man sitting outside 7-Eleven at 9 o'clock in the morning, shirtless, drinking Chang beer from a big bottle, that doesn't bother you. And several people wrote in to say, Steve, 7-Eleven doesn't sell beer at 9 o'clock in the morning. Now, as I am teetotal, I don't know when 7-Eleven sells beer. I'm certain that I have seen in my life old white guys sitting outside the 7-Eleven without a shirt on, drinking beer in the
Might
morning.
have taken it there and thought, there's a nice step to sit on.
Yeah.
Oh, when they open the door, I get that
Rush
draft
of cold air.
air.
Maybe. I'm certain I've seen that.
Just to clarify, you can buy alcohol between 11 and 2 and 5 and midnight, I think.
Okay.
There you go.
I-
Not at 9 in the morning though, but you can get a really good coffee at 7-Eleven. I rate the coffee at 7-Eleven. I know you make your own, but
Yeah.
for those of us that can't figure out how to put a teaspoon of brown crystals into a cup and boil a jug of water, you can get really good coffee.
Yeah,
25
all right.
baht at 7-Eleven. I think it's
Okay.
good.
I only go to
brown.
7-Eleven to pay my bills. I don't shop. I may have bought some toothpaste or something.
Don't you have one favourite thing you really like at 7-Eleven? I've got 2 or 3. I sort
All
of
I do is pay my bills. I don't eat there or anything.
cheese and ham toasty,
Okay.
and the little chocolate sort of it's like a it's sort of hard on the outside, soft on the inside. Put it in the microwave 15 seconds with a scoop of ice cream.
Oh.
To die for.
Is this a candy or a pastry?
No, it's like a chocolate mud cake.
Oh, okay.
And it's about
Right.
that big. And I've seen it many times. You go to, when I get invited to some sort of fancy restaurant and you go there and, it's 1,000 baht for a pad thai. And, software update. I think we can do that later.
I'll wait.
But there they have, sitting in the middle of a great big plate with some sort of dusted icing sugar. There it is, the 7-Eleven mud cake sitting there with a scoop of ice cream, 450 baht. Thank you very much. I know, I've seen it many times.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I think you would have been to a dinner party at our house. I would have served that as the dessert.
Perhaps. I was at.
Giving
I
away
had
my
something rich with like clotted cream on the top. Christmas? Didn't you have me at your house for Christmas?
Yes.
Yeah. The dessert was something very rich with clotted cream. I
Plum
think.
pudding.
Oh, okay. Yes. There we go. Plum pudding? Who from Iowa has ever tasted plum pudding?
It's pretty
okay.
standard Christmas fare.
So Steve got it wrong. Apparently, no white guys are sitting outside 7-Eleven at 9 a.m. I still say, if you are so upset by the smell of ganja that you feel compelled to comment online, good luck, because that's the wave of the future, baby. You're going to smell it for the rest of your life.
Well, hang on. I would put my hand up and say I don't like the smell of ganja as I walk down the street. I don't like the smell of cigarette smoke. Walking down the street. I just like to breathe the air. Thank you very much. The smell of open sewers doesn't do anything for me, but I just sort of think, well, there's not much I can do about those.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do about people smoking weed either.
Well, they can do it at home.
We ain't gonna stop. Oh,
go home and do it, like you do. In your home. You don't sit at the front and blow it in people's faces as they walk past.
No, Tian does next door at the. We are sitting next door to this town's only cannabis store, and he sits out here. Sunset is what we sell. Sunset on this beach is magnificent. So every night at the cannabis store in season, there are Phang sitting there, toking away. And if you were to walk past on the beach road, I suppose
you'd get a waft.
You would smell that. You're just as likely for Tian's dog to take a chunk out of your leg.
Have you had a problem with?
Yeah, I feed that dog every day, and it attacked a child right in front of me. And I wailed on that dog.
Okay.
Where are we going?
So I've got a little place in the house. There it is, where people can sit at the window and look at the sunset.
Yeah.
What a wonderful idea. Who came up with that?
You know, if there weren't turtles here, this would be called Sunset Beach, for sure, if there weren't turtles here.
Have you ever seen a turtle, not launched by the local conservation centre, but have you ever seen a turtle come up on the beach here?
I've found 2 dead turtles, and I've probably found about a dozen nests.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And, you know, the ones that have eggs, because a female turtle will come out of the water and dig a nest, whether she's got fertilized eggs to lay or not. And she'll lay eggs just like a chicken, whether she's been fertilized or not. A chicken will lay an egg, and so will a turtle. I found plenty of nests, and if they've got eggs, the rangers will put a fence around it to keep the stray dogs from digging up and eating all those eggs. And they'll camp there for a couple weeks until these things hatch. And take them back to the center and raise them till they're about dinner plate big, and then let them go in the sea.
Gives them a much better chance.
Yeah.
I haven't actually seen a live turtle on the beach.
You're not on the beach as often as I am.
Well, I'm on the beach every day.
And but you're here in town. But I've never seen a live turtle. They come up at night. They come up like 2 a.m. to do their business. But I've seen their tracks. I've seen the nests. And 2 dead turtles I've found. And scoots, which are the segments off their shells, which are like fingernails, and they slough off. When a turtle dies, those segments fall off its shell. The shell is cartilage, and these segments they're only attached at the roots, like a fingernail, and they fall off. And I find those scoots all the time. I've got a box of scoots in my house.
Not many people can say that.
I also have 40,000 cigarette lighters. There is nobody in the world who can say they've got 40,000 cigarette lighters in their house that they picked up off the beach.
Oh, that's going to be Steve's got it wrong, I'm sure.
Okay. I'd love to hear of somebody else.
Over to you.
Now, Dr. Pearlie on Koh Lanta, who makes sculptures out of cigarette lighters, I just sent her 6 boxes of lighters because she doesn't have 40,000 lighters in her house. So if you can find someone else, I'd really be interested. Yeah, call me wrong. But I think I am likely to be the only person in the world with 40,000 cigarette lighters in their backyard, or even 10,000, or even 1,000. All right. Shall I continue?
Sure.
Because I got a lot of shit wrong last week.
I'm having a good time.
Okay, good. I said last week that, like any American boomer, I grew up watching the body bags come home from Vietnam on the news every night. And someone pointed this out, and this is another embarrassment. They said, no soldier came back in a body bag. They came back in aluminum caskets. What are you talking about, a body bag? And I worked for 9 years in a military morgue. I've lifted and carried dead soldiers in body bags. And it occurs, I went back and Googled. I tried to find images of body bags coming home to America from Vietnam, and no, I could find none.
I think I showed one when I did a little segment about the end of the Vietnam War last week. I had a photo of some soldiers carrying a body bag. But maybe it's something we've sort of put two and two together and got 17.
Maybe, yeah. Certainly they were carried in bags in Vietnam. But once I got on the plane and came home in the plane and went to the local mortuary to be buried, they were in aluminum boxes. So Steve apparently got that wrong. I never saw, apparently, body bags coming home. And this all would have stopped in 1973, so my memories of the 70s are pretty dim. But that one, I appreciate that call out. I don't remember who it was that pointed out that mistake, but I appreciate that. I've been using that expression, watching body bags come home. I've been using that forever, and apparently no, and they didn't come home in bags.
Have you, you went to Cambodia, didn't you?
Yeah, for one night.
For a night.
Yes.
Because I was going to talk just very quickly about Ho Chi Minh City.
Okay.
That used to be called Saigon. When you go there, there are 2 or 3 very, very good war museums. And they're still happy to talk about it. But these museums...
They won.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure, they're happy. They beat the United States in a war. Yeah, I'd brag about that every damn day.
Well, but when you go there, they are so anti-American. The imagery and the stories they tell, they're happy to show you around, and without a sort of any sense of irony of, you sort of being a white person, they just tell you exactly the way they see the war.
Sure.
And it's hardly a sort of a benign museum. It's like got a story to tell.
Yeah.
But they've got all the old machinery all scattered around the yard. Very, very good museum. That's the one I went to. I think it's called the Ho Chi Minh War Museum, but very, very good. But you walk out of there going, okay, I think I got one side of the story there.
There are museums all over the United States that celebrate the conquest of the western frontier and how the brave, intrepid pioneers went west and braved Indian attacks and massacres, and they settled the West, they tamed the West. And I imagine that Native Americans going to these museums feel that same sense of perhaps dissociation. This is not the story I learned at my grandmother's knee, her wounded knee.
There's a very good series about the Vietnam War on Netflix at the moment, by the way. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called the Vietnam War or Memories, but it's
phone that one in.
It's a new one, and it's very, very good if you are into a bit of Vietnam War history. But it did finish 50 years ago this week. Well, the fall of Saigon. So it didn't sort of just finish. It sort of petered out. But that day that Saigon fell was basically the day that people say was the end of the Vietnam War 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy my little segment about the story of Wang Li? Did you see my video?
I saw you send it to me. I didn't
I
watch
didn't
it.
send it to you.
Oh, okay, then no.
How'd you watch my program?
I do watch your program, yes.
Well,
Yeah,
I'll send it to you because it's a fascinating story. This guy, if you haven't seen it...
He flew the light aircraft out into the ocean, not knowing where he was going, and found an aircraft carrier. They pushed helicopters off the flight decks to make room for this little Piper Cub.
Yes.
Yeah, well, good for him. Yeah.
I think it's a great story.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay, that story. Yes,
there would have been hundreds of thousands, not hundreds, there would be, but hundreds of thousands of escape stories on that day.
Yeah.
People trying to get out of Saigon. But that story just warmed my heart. Even more so, he ended up becoming a citizen in the States. He had 5 children that he brought with him from baby up to about, I don't know, 5 or 6. And they've now got 7 grandchildren, and they live in Florida. So it's sort of all happy ending stuff. I thought it was a great story.
Except for living in Florida. Yeah. Other than that, yeah.
And the captain of the ship who made the decision to push those and he turned around to not look at the helicopters going over the side because he was sure he was going to be court-martialed and wanted to be able to say, I'm not sure how many helicopters went over the side because he would have been telling the truth. But he was in fact promoted, even though he went against orders on that day. I'll put a link to the description, in the description of this video, because it's a rollicking good story, even though you've heard it now.
Even though you've heard it.
It was a ruined ending.
And if you're interested in Thailand's involvement with the boat people, like you say, there's a million stories of escape that day. Well, in the years following, a million more stories of people sneaking out on fishing boats and making their way to Thailand. And there's an author named James Eckhart who just died about a year ago. He came to Thailand and worked as the local consul for the American embassy in Songkhla, Hat Yai. And his job, because that's where they were all washing ashore, and the bodies of the Vietnamese refugees who were attacked and killed by Thai, attacked, raped, mutilated, tortured, and killed by Thai pirates, which is what they called any Thai fishing boat that came across one of these refugee boats in the ocean. Anyway, James Eckhart has written a bunch of books about Thailand, most of them very funny. He wrote a book called Boat People about these experiences, which is not so funny. But that was his job. That's what James was doing, helping repatriate these Vietnamese who had helped America in the war and then were abandoned, like the Kurds more recently. And he helped them get back to the States. So if you're interested in books about Thailand, James Eckhart, his book, The Boat People.
I had a band, which I was the manager of in the late 90s, early 2000s, and our lead singer in the band was in his mummy's tummy when she was a boat person escaping from Vietnam, making their way down to Australia, which was a fair hike, I would have thought. There would have been plenty of Indonesia to sail through to get there, but they were heading for Australia, and they got there, and she had young Tan when she arrived. So yes, I'm quite aware, speaking to them over the years, of the extraordinary stories of escape. Yeah. Anyway, big week.
Yeah. Well, you know, as the grandchild of refugees, or I don't know. I don't know if my grandfather would want to be called a refugee or not, but at any rate, immigrants who fled persecution and war and made their way to America, and that's why Steve Rosse exists. So I'm sort of on the side of the immigrant and the refugee. Call me woke. I'll own that. I'll own that title. Speaking of titles, I say the word dude all the time. Have since I was a kid. Because in Iowa, in the 60s and 70s, you called your buddies dude. It's not a pejorative, all right? I'm not insulting you. If I call you dude, it just means mate or hey, fella or buddy or something. Dude is not an insult.
Who was insulted by you?
I don't know. Somebody looking for a reason to be offended, I think.
When I was in Penang, last week.
Were you? How was that, Tim? How'd you like Penang?
It was quite nice. But I visited the agent. The agent was a weathered Indian gentleman. Mm-hmm. He'd been around the block a few times, and he kept on calling me brother. And you have to do this, brother. And it just started to get to me. So after about 10 minutes, I said, look, excuse me, could you just call me Tim or Mr. But don't call me brother. He was very taken aback. But I did put up with it for quite a while until I thought, no, I can't do this anymore. Am I precious?
No, I think that if I'm paying someone for a service, I would like them to call me either Steve or Mr. Ross. I think if they're
Mrs. Ross.
No, Mr. Ross.
Okay.
If they're trying to curry favor by my friend, where you go? My friend, papa. No, I'm not your papa, I'm not your friend. If it's a business relationship, call me Steve or call me Mr. Ross.
Or sir.
I know in Thai, you know, P, older brother, Nong, younger brother. Everybody calls each other P Nong. Every politician begins every speech with P Nong, my brothers and sisters. I know it's cool in Thai. It's even affectionate in Thai. But in English, if I'm not your brother and I'm paying you for a service, I want you to show me respect. Call me Mr. Ross.
I guarantee when I go back in a couple of weeks, he'll be back to brother. He would have forgotten.
Well, he probably meets 50 Phang every day and he can't remember all those names.
Oh, then he went, it was even worse. He said, I really like you British people. So, just in case.
Oh, swing and a miss, buddy. Swing and a miss.
Don't call an Australian
But
British.
Style points for trying. Style
Yes,
points
yes.
for trying. All right. Something else Steve got wrong?
Yeah, please.
Do we have time?
Oh,
How much time
well,
have we got left?
Hours.
I said Gojira. Godzilla got his name from the wind, the sacred wind that destroyed the Chinese armada in the 1400s that was invading Japan.
Hey, that sounded like you were making it up.
Well, no,
really
it's true, but the word is kamikaze.
Ah!
Not Gojira. Gojira is a combination of the words for gorilla and whale. He is a whale gorilla. That is where Gojira got his name.
Okay, can you say Godzilla? That's
All right, Godzilla.
Thank you.
But kamikaze was the wind that destroyed the Chinese fleet.
Okay,
So I had the story right. I had the word wrong.
sure.
Yeah,
sure.
And a couple people pointed
Story
that out.
of your life.
Yeah, well, the story of my involvement in this channel, anyway. Yeah. Oh.
Can't read your own writing.
I don't remember where it was, but somebody was complaining, why are Thais so greedy? Why are Thais so greedy? They're always trying to get money out of me. Why are they so greedy? Well, they are capitalists. And if you are in favor of capitalism as a system, as Gordon Gekko, wasn't that his name in the movie Wall Street? He says, for lack of a better word, greed is good. So if you are a capitalist, I am. I'm a terrible capitalist, but I believe in the system. I think it's a good system.
You haven't been a very good capitalist.
No, I'm a terrible capitalist. I suck at capitalism, but I recognize the value of it. I'm glad I didn't have to go through life trading my grain for a pair of shoes, or trading my daughter for a goat and an axe handle. A barter society is terribly clunky and cumbersome. So I think capitalism is a really good society. Well, you cannot believe in capitalism and be down on people because they're greedy. They are participating in that system that you support and you participate in as well.
This is just a question brought up by what you were just saying. We are sort of going through a bit of a shake-up around the world.
No. Yes. Yeah,
And
I don't watch the news, but even I know it.
We sort of wake up in the morning and we go, oh my God. Do you think 100 years hence, people are going to look back and go, 2025, that was the year, everything changed. To us, it just seems like, oh, it's another day, and we buy our pad thai and we get on the video and we talk. But are people going to look back at this time and go, that was a really important time in world history? I'm not going to go into sort of what they're going to be saying in 100 years. You can sort of guess. But I sort of have got a funny feeling this might be a profound time in history.
A watershed moment.
A watershed moment. What do you think?
I am pessimistic that there will be anybody writing history books in 50 years. I think it's that big a deal. I think...
Well, the winners usually write the history.
Yeah, I don't think that anyone will be writing or reading history books in 50 years. Certainly not reading them. I think reading, scholarship, research, it's all being destroyed, being pulled up by the roots. And this is part of it, this social media bullshit.
This YouTube thing.
YouTube and the internet and people's inability to tell fact from fiction when they are both presented with equal weight on this machine. And I think it is such a watershed moment that, I hope and pray that there will still be universities and scholarship and people writing history and people reading history in 50 years, but I don't hold out any hope that there will be. I think what's happening now is a collapse as profound as the collapse of the Roman Empire or the Greek Empire or the Japanese Empire, any empire. It's all falling apart around our ears.
I sort of tend to agree. Perhaps not in quite so negative terms, but I do think we are going through a big, profound change.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to emerge at the other side. I'm going to be around to see it, probably. And I hope, it's a sunrise on a lovely day, and we all sort of get about improving things. Are we going to end up with a better situation than we have now, or is it going to get worse? That, I suppose, is my only concern.
Yeah, I think it's going to get worse. I think it's just going to get
I think it's going to get better.
Worse. Eventually, because, just like
glass half full, glass half empty.
Yeah. After the collapse of the Roman Empire, there was 1,000 years of darkness, and then there was a Renaissance. Things will get better eventually, but they'll have to get much, much worse before they get better. And if I didn't have kids, I'd be laughing at all of it. My children are going to have to, and their children are going to have to live in this world that we've created. And I feel very, very bad about that. I'm very, very sorry for what the shit sandwich we're handing the next generation.
Well, that's probably...
This went dark really fast.
It did go dark.
Don't ask any more questions like that.
I just was interested, and I'd be interested to know what you have to say about that too. A bit profound, a bit existential, but this is the place that you come for those big, heavy conversations. Not.
Yeah, it's the only conversation I've had in English for a week.
Really?
Well, the only conversation for an hour. Well, no, I went to lunch today with Sam and his family, and we spoke for the most part in English. When somebody visits me for coffee, someone who watches the channel and they come visit, we have conversations. But otherwise, no, I speak in Thai to the people I meet. I don't have any other Phang friends for the most part. Nobody I would sit down with for an hour and talk at length for an hour.
I feel so privileged.
Well, you should. But it means that I'm going to say, I've got all this stuff inside me that I haven't been able to say, because my Thai language skills don't go as far as predicting the future and the dystopia that we have to look forward to. So this is it for me for a week. This is the conversation of length.
It's interesting having a multicultural partner, I suppose you could say, that doesn't have, you can communicate in English, but as far as having sort of deep conversations, those sort of are impossible. And you don't even start the conversation because you know it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So I do miss having... And so I see you and I think, I can have a deep conversation, and then of course I'm disappointed. Yeah,
10 words in you realize, no, it's just going to be Steve. It's just going to be Steve again.
Do you have one more? On a lighter note, do you have something?
Can I have two very brief ones?
Okay, two
very brief ones. On a lighter note. Oh, you were talking about how you don't see two-tier pricing very often. Just for the record, there are at least two of these restaurants, these seafood restaurants that practice two-tier, and I don't eat there if I can help it.
Which one?
Andaman and Bin La.
In what way is it two-tier?
In that if I go alone and eat,
you're going to pay
X,
more,
and if I go with a Thai friend, I pay less than X.
So do they have two menus?
I don't know. I never order off the menu. That's interesting. I've never thought about that. I don't ever look
ask for the menu.
Why? I know
so you can point to the price.
Oh. Well, no, I get a bill at the end of the meal and I know what I've paid. But no, I eat the same food. I don't need to look at a menu. It's Thailand. I know what I'm going to eat.
Well, that's interesting. And of course, the national park up the road, they charge foreigners 10 times as much.
Yeah, and their prices are posted outside. But I have never paid in 3 years to go in or out of that park. I go very early in the morning, and they have two of my turtles, so I don't, in the park, so I don't pay anything to go in there.
The minister during the week, the Minister of Tourism and Sport says, we're going to get rid of two-tier pricing. That's what he said.
They say a lot of shit.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen.
Oh, yeah. What was it today?
I think he was surprised. Really? There's two-tier pricing? Aghast.
Well, he's a Karachikan. He's never paid for anything in his life.
Sure.
He walks in his uniform, everything's free. Was it some minister said today, we're going to, I'm asking for urgent action on this question. Urgent action. Do you know where you live?
Yes.
Urgent.
Yes.
You're going to have to import some urgent action. There's none here.
Yes. plus
Anyway,
tariff.
The last thing I want to say, you said in your live show on Saturday, somebody asked, how long has the situation on the Burma border been this way? Or how long has Burma been this way? Some question like that. And I don't know the answer to that, but I would have guessed since independence, at least, since the British gave them their independence. But I know there's a movie, it's available on YouTube, it's called Salween, screenplay by Sterling Silliphant, who was an American who won the Academy Award for the screenplay for a movie called In the Heat of the Night with Rod Steiger, who also, who played Mr. Tibbs, the black actor. Come on, Steve.
Sidney Poitier.
Sidney Poitier. They all won Oscars. And he created the TV show Route 66. And at any rate, big name in Hollywood. He retired to Thailand in the 1980s. And his last movie, he wrote the script for this movie about the border situation in Myanmar. And it is awful. It is terrible. It is the worst movie you will ever see. And unfortunately, it's the movie that ended his career. But the one takeaway from it is that the situation presented in this movie, made in 1990, I think, is exactly what it is today, without the call centers. Right. They don't have the call centers. But the drugs, the fighting between the government and the Karens, and the Thais both profiting from and suffering from that situation going on, and the way that people live up there on both sides of the border, they're dirt poor, they got bupkis, they got nothing. All of that is still exactly the same.
That is a conversation that I have with number one, and because number one is from Myanmar. I don't think, if I sort of project into the future, that Myanmar, it's a bit like, how do you solve a problem like Myanmar? Because Myanmar's just a basket case.
Yeah.
And it's just so tribal, and it's been going on for so long. I don't know how it's going to be resolved. No. At the moment, we've almost got this semi-proxy war with China and Russia sort of getting in there and supplying arms, and nobody's quite sure who's supplying arms to who, or which gang is linked with the government.
Where your guns are going.
It's very, very complicated. I don't think it can be solved peacefully. Sadly, I think it's going to be, an ongoing mess without any clear solution. Yeah. Anyway, we're back on the sad stuff again. We didn't mean to.
I slept really well last night, if that's happy news.
So I hope I'm going to have some happy news. I'm going to go back now and turn on the TV and watch
the
elections.
Count. Yeah. Yes. Well, good luck to your party or candidate.
Compulsory voting or non-compulsory
voting?
I
think I would vote for that in a heartbeat. Yes, compulsory voting. Yes. It should be
How can we have
a
an
responsibility. Saying that it's a right, okay, fine, it's a right, but it's a responsibility. You cannot piss and moan about what your government's doing unless you participate and go vote for somebody.
In Australia, for some reason, it's just not a controversial topic.
Right? Yeah, it
never comes up.
It shouldn't be.
We've had compulsory voting since forever, but most Americans, I have to say, are different from you. Don't say that.
No, they are.
Do not say that. They do take umbrage at the concept of compulsory voting. So there you go. What do you think? That'll get some comments.
It is compulsory to vote to comment on this issue.
Thank you very much for dropping in. I don't know if you found that in any way entertaining. We did.
Yeah, we have fun. Like I said, it's the only conversation I have all week.
So all those people who tune in regularly each week, most people, they don't even watch it. They just put it on as they're falling to sleep or
folding laundry,
having sex. I think it's quite
brushing the dog.
Yeah. It's just.
Oh no, nobody's having sex listening to this. No. Like a bucket of cold water. Ploosh. Yeah.
But Steve's links are in the description.
Yeah.
Beach House Thailand. Wow, is in the description.
This is beautiful, you guys. Boho. This shares a wall. I have a common wall with this unit. I've watched this place being turned into a really nice space.
I'd stay here.
Yes, I would too.
The beach is just there.
Yeah.
And let's hope it stays there. Thanks for dropping in.
Thank you for having me.
I love your shirt, by the way. Where'd that come from?
This is from Jimmy Cherry. I think I've worn this once before, haven't I?
don't
Oh
know.
no, I wore the Buddha shoot.
That's
Buddha
nice.
shirt. Yes, it's nice.
I like that.
Came from Jimmy Cherry.
Okay, thank you, Jimmy. And thank you. Please subscribe to the channel. What else do I have to say? Click the like button.
See you in a week.
See you in a week. Bye.